This is a very serious announcement. If you have joined this church because you think you're going to marry me, this needs to be your last Sunday. We don't do that here. I don't run through the women. We don't do that here. So I have to say this because unfortunately we've had several situations with several individuals who have made it clear to several of our leaders that they felt God led them here to be a spouse to me. I can tell you that is a lie. Second order of business, we had an individual call the church. I don't know this person. They said they were upset because they had been in a relationship with me for an extended period of time via email, and I suddenly stopped reaching out to them. Well, that's because you were never talking to me in the first place. So to whoever that was, I'm sorry that you went through this tragic event, but that's not our fault. And I would pray that you would be less gullible in the days ahead. But I assure you that if you push this any further, we will legally take action with great prejudice. So go ahead and let it die. Repent and go find a real human. So we're not going to do none of this foolishness because you was talking to a fake page thinking it's me. So let me set order. If you came to this church and you think I'm your husband, unthink it. So let's calm that down. Look at your neighbor and say, calm all that down. Calm all. We don't do that foolishness here. You should be glad you got a pastor with some integrity. We don't do that stuff here.
Welcome back to the channel. So you see the stuff on the screen. So that pretty much tells you what I'm about. So let's get to it. So I want to start by reading a few of the comments, before we actually talk deeply about this particular video. So the very first comment I see is actually, I think this is a lady. She's basically saying he's a pastor in my hometown and he's always talking about women coming for him. The most attention-seeking pastor I have ever witnessed. That is her full quote. The next one is, don't you all know his testimony? He went through a harsh divorce years ago. He is committed to stay single. Celibacy is what is called until God releases him to his mate. He is waiting faithfully on God. Some ladies out there are too thirsty, wanting to be a pastor's wife because they think he's the red carpet and special treatment. But little do they know, it takes a strong, spiritual, God-fearing woman to be a pastor's wife. The next person. It's sad some people in these comments, just because a man doesn't want you, doesn't mean he's gay. That pastor was being respectful. Grow up. So on this channel, again, we talk to both men and women, and we're always talking about marriage, okay? Because that is our big thing. See, I don't really believe a lot of people have problems meeting people. I don't really think people have a lot of problems understanding, the pros and cons of what's a good person and what's a bad person, even though we do go over those things on this channel. And I've always said that if you come out to this channel, understand I am not teaching you how to date, nor do I want to teach you how to date. People that know how to date become girlfriends and boyfriends, but people who understand how to walk in wife energy and husband energy are the ones that actually get married. So over here, we talk about marriage, and then we talk about a lot of little tenets, and then we break down videos, if we think they're going too far to the right or to the left. All right, so that is what we do on this channel. So again, if you're brand new, welcome, welcome. Now let's get to this particular video. So I've done a lot talking about the church on this particular channel. As you see the cross on the screen, you know that I am Christian, and I put it up there because, I truly do feel that God has placed me here. And because of that, I do talk every once in a while about the church. And I have a lot of problems, honestly, with the modern church. But what I said, I think in the last video about the church, I had talked about that there were several pastors that actually had surprised me with some of the clips that they had put out. And I'm still looking for one of those clips. And once I get that, then I'll also do a video on that. But this is one of the clips that I had found that had popped up in my feed. And see, this is one of the issues, honestly, a big issue when it comes to the church. Now, I did a video a long time ago, I think with Dr. Umar, and he was trying to say that every single pastor was trying to keep every, woman in the congregation single. And I was kind of saying I really didn't agree with that. And the main reason why I didn't agree with it is because I thought that that was very small. It wasn't a quite good way to truly understand what, is going on in the church. My belief is that a lot of pastors simply don't know. They were never really called to talk to singles, even though in the African-American community, 70%, approximately 70% of Black women are single. Okay, I think with Black men, it might be closer to 65 or 68% because it's a little bit lower, you know, because there are more Black men that date out of their race than Black women. And because of that, that extra little percentage, they're actually a little bit more, there's actually fewer, you know, Black men that are single than Black women. But the point is the Black church, and really churches that even cater to generational Black people, have serious issues when it comes to the whole marriage thing. And one of the main problems is that a lot of Black people simply do not know how to be a husband or a wife, right? We have a culture that is really all about different levels of polygamy, different levels of, you know, Pookie going out here and getting his. We are still really living in a slave type system, you know, where one man is kind of like, you know, the rooster that takes care of all of the hens in the hen house, right? And because of that, and because of that culture, many Black men don't know how to stay put. You know, they don't understand the importance of actually being there and raising their children. And a lot of women allow these men not only to come into their lives, but they're very attracted to them as well. So it's not just about a lot of women that have that potential single mom energy, because we're not necessarily just talking about the single moms here. We're also talking about the women who are destined, if you will, to be single moms, because they have the energy where they're actually attracted to the more Pookie mindset of a man. And when a man comes in and that man actually walks with integrity, walks with an energy of saying, hey, I'll take care of you, I'll be good to you, many times, and a lot more so, unfortunately, than the white women in this country, a lot of Black women label those men as being nice guys, which really is a nice way of saying that they're losers. Okay, I like to call a spade a spade. And I honestly wish more Black women would just call it out. Therefore, we could actually get to the problem. All right. And when you look at men in general, okay, most men do not walk with the playeristic energy that unfortunately a lot of Black women are attracted to. And at the core of the problem within the Black church, it still goes back to a lot of Black women and Black men not understanding that walking in the true energy of being a husband or wife is not just a wonderful thing to God, but it's also going to bless you in this life. It really will. So one of the things, like I said, that comes up a lot is the fact that a lot of Black churches don't know how to speak to it. In fact, I was just on a conversation last night where I was talking about a subject very close to this. And I was talking about how I've seen where a lot of Black churches will have somebody come up and they will talk about singles. And they might even say, woman, you have to be a wife. The Bible says he findeth a wife. He findeth a wife. But then after, you know, they'll do their particular sermon, they just kind of table it and then they move on to the next sermon. They never go into detail or even offer a workshop to actually help women, okay, become wives. Because a lot of women simply don't know. And it's really sad because those that really want that life, you know, they have to kind of understand it and they've never seen it. All right. So really quickly, a real quick major nugget, you know, because I'm always about solving problems. A major nugget, ladies, really quick, especially if you're brand new, how do you become a wife? The very first thing you need to do is to take ownership. Girlfriends don't take ownership, wives do. So what does this basically mean? It means when you come into an environment, the man's environment, then you begin to look at everything in that environment as yours. Not in a bad way or a gold digging way, but in a way of protection, of a way that I am not going to abuse this environment. See, girlfriends come in and they abuse the man's environment. They believe that, oh, I need to upgrade this. Oh, he needs to spend this money on me, blah, blah, blah. A wife doesn't come in like that. A wife comes in saying, okay, how can I add to his environment? How can I make his environment better? You know, and so through that is one of the major tenets of a wife, right? And again, if you're new to my channel, okay, husbands kind of do a similar thing, but it's kind of in reverse. He comes in, okay, and this is also for the men that are watching. A man comes in and he takes ownership of the woman. And he is basically saying, okay, how are you being protected? Is your car okay? Are you living in an apartment or a house that's safe? Okay, do you need things that is going to protect you? And ladies, when this man comes in to protect you, it's not going to show up as he is basically providing all of your wants. He's going to come in providing your needs. And again, none of this starts on day one. Okay, but these things should start to populate in you all's relationship as you're dating from day 1 to day 90. All right. And by the 90-day mark, you should have a pretty good understanding about what this woman or man is actually going to bring to the table. And ladies, if you're bringing money to the table, that's great, but that's really not what men are looking for. All right. But you'll have to watch a lot more of my videos in order for me to go into detail, because I'm trying to get back to the point. I just want to lay the foundation. Now, with all of that said, we have to look at the fact that a lot of pastors really do have decent hearts. They might not necessarily know how to do it, how to talk to their congregation. And when we know that most of the congregation is female, okay? And a lot of the pastors, what happens is, let's be very open and transparent, is that a lot of the women in the congregation, whether they want to say it out, you know, directly out or not, they are very attracted to their pastor. You want to find, you know, where a lot of young women are hanging out, like 30-something women are hanging out. They're probably hanging out around a young, attractive pastor. And I'll be real with you, he doesn't have to be single. He can actually be fully married. And you will find more young women, like I say, maybe 5 to 10 years younger than him, at his church, watching him and, you know, and learning about him. And then what happens is, and I've told you all before, it's always about a woman's sexual nature. Okay. So everything that really works in a woman's life is about her sexual nature. And so when a woman is watching this man, watching this pastor, she is formulating in her mind a sexual energy toward him. And this is why I tell you all the time how powerful media is, because you might not see your pastor as media, but they are. Even though it's not necessarily videotaped for you when you're watching it live, it is an advertisement. The way the man walks, the way that he moves, how he talks, how he dresses, all of those things matter. And when women watch that week after week after week after week, they start to be comfortable with it. That's the very first stage. You become comfortable. And then after becoming comfortable, you start to be attracted to it, especially if you don't have anyone in your life that is taking that attraction away. So when you have a woman that has basically gone to a church and she's watched her pastor for a year and she's not had a boyfriend or anyone that she's been interested in that whole year, it is very likely that she will start to kind of sexualize her pastor a little bit, right? And see, I like the fact that this particular pastor got up and said, don't do that. Don't believe that I am here for you. Don't believe, ladies, that that I am here and I am going to be, you know, your man. Don't do that. Because see, actually, this is a normal thing. And I think a lot of men know this, because a lot of men, when you hear them talking about churches, they talk to this point, okay, on many podcasts and different things like that. And I think this is why Dr. Umar believed that a lot of pastors want the women to do that and want the women to lean into that energy. But as I've said before, and I am going to find that clip one of these days, but as I've said before, what pastors have to do is they have to divert that energy, and they have to divert it to the men that are in the congregation. Because no matter what the situation is, there are always several single men in the congregation. Recently, again, I had a friend that invited me to their church, and I actually went to their church. And, it was a smaller church, than what I'm used to. However, it was, a decent church. And again, afterwards, me and this particular person was talking, and, she was even trying to say that there weren't a lot of single men in the church. And I was like, no, there was about 4 or 5. I mean, it wasn't a lot, but it also wasn't a really big church. So I was like, there was about 4 or 5 men, ages, 30s to early 40s that I could easily see. And some of those men, were getting a little bit of attention, but then some of them were not. And again, the pastors have to be willing to point that out. And I'll be honest with you, I don't even care if pastors start to say, okay, all single men come up to the stage and let's take a big look at all of the single men so that the single women in the audience know who you are. Okay. And will start to engage with you, because I do believe that in the Black church, there has to be more of a move in order to get this problem solved. And I just don't believe that the church can basically turn a blind eye to it simply because we are in a situation where a lot of things are going down what many people would consider the wrong path, right? And so we need to, turn things and go down another path, right? And like I said before, when you're dealing with women that are single mothers, that's one energy. You're dealing with another energy from women that are divorced. They may be single moms. They may not be single moms. And then you have another group of women. Okay. And this is the group that I think everybody's trying to talk to try to protect them, is this group that they kind of are unaffiliated. So they have never been married. They don't have children. Okay. And that group, has the ability to go down any one of these paths. Okay. But it's very important for that group to make really great decisions that end up giving them the best life possible. Right. And so we can start to turn the statistics around, however you say that wonderful word. Right. So I did think that this was very good, because I did want people to see that there are pastors out there that truly do care. However, I still think that more can be done. Okay, because I believe that there are a lot of really great women, like I've said, out here. I'll never really stop saying that. But I always believe as well that our media and our world doesn't really help the good people find the good people. Instead, it kind of leans into the negative, because the negative just gets more views. It gets more likes, more people watch it on TV. So it's harder for people to navigate. All right. And that's one of the things that I'm hoping to help on this particular channel, is to help people to navigate. Right. And so I'm hoping that, like I said, I always encourage the women at church, hang out a little bit after church. Don't be so quick to leave. Like, I'll be honest, even at the church that I was at, there was a lady sitting around me, and I actually was like, well, as soon as this thing stops, I'm probably going to, holler at her. And I kid you not, just like I said before, she was gone before the benediction. And it's amazing to me. And this is a small church, so again, it's amazing to me that so many women do that. And you kind of hurt yourself, when you're so quick to get out the door. So remember, I'm all about marriage. That's what I'm about. Down there in that description, you're going to find more information. If you want to check out some of those books on Amazon, if you want to start watching those programs, because I believe, especially if you do not have both parents for your first 18 years of life, I would encourage you to start watching sitcoms and other shows that talk about marriage, that have two people trying to work it out, because marriage is not a perfect thing. And if you're not a giver, you're going to have a very difficult time being a wife or a husband. So watching those videos will help you to understand that marriage is a lot of giving, a lot of giving. All right. So we need to make sure that we have that mindset. All right. So please like and subscribe, and I'm going to see you all in the very next video.